Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Saunders. I'm the team leader for Plymouth Coast Observatory, and today I'll be giving an overview and an introduction to the CoastSnap Southwest project, which has been in place for over a year now. Firstly, a bit of background on who I work for. So Plymouth Coast Observatory have run the Southwest Regional Coastal Monitoring Programme since its inception in 2006. And the monitoring programme itself is responsible for collecting and collating coastal data to include hydrodynamics, topographic beach surveys, bathymetry, LiDAR, and several more from around the southwest coast, from Portland Bill to the border with Wales. But my focus today will be on CoastSnap, which is effectively another method by which we can monitor our coastline and also collect data while also promoting our sort of community engagement and interaction side of things, which we tend to lack with the rest of the program. But let's get started. So an overview then, I'll be giving a brief introduction and explaining the origins of where CoastSnap came from. I will run through the Southwest projects and where we're at the moment, briefly touch upon what sort of data we can extract from the submitted images, and also then go on to the sort of future monitoring that we have planned for CoastSnap with regards to the monitoring program itself. So CoastSnap then is a fixed point photography community science project, the infrastructure of which is extremely simple and cost effective and consists of a pole or frame like one you can see in this image here, atop which is mounted a stainless steel camera cradle and an A3 information sign with instructions included on how to use the cradle itself. The camera points are positioned so that if you were to take an image using it, you would be capturing the sort of dynamic intertidal area of a particular beach of interest or a coastal asset of particular importance in a particular area. So the idea being that thousands of members of the public visit our beaches every day, most of whom will be carrying a smartphone in their pocket with a camera more powerful than that which has been used in sort of coastal imaging processes over the last few decades. And by encouraging those members of the public to get involved with this community science project, we can promote information on coastal processes through our website and also empower anybody with an interest in how our coastline evolves to contribute to that ongoing monitoring that's in place. And in return, we obtain almost daily free images of the beach in question, allowing us to sort of link together any seasonal changes and also gauge the impact of shorter term, high energy events that are going on that beach. So CoastSnap itself started in 2018 and was founded by Dr. Mitchell Harley of the Water Research Laboratory in the University of New South Wales. Mitch has still taken that concept to new levels and has overseen its expansion into over 20 different countries worldwide. That's covering 6 different continents with over 100 different CoastSnap stations installed globally. And now there is even a CoastSnap app available to download where you can create your own CoastSnap location if you were to wish to do so. So it's really come a long way over the last 2 and a bit years. But more onto the sort of Southwest projects. So we sort of took on that idea of CoastSnap back in late 2019, with the first installation coming in January of last year. It's an EA-funded, Environment Agency-funded project, with each site that's been chosen has been chosen for a particular reason, because it's of significant importance from a monitoring or risk management perspective. It's also had local authority coastal engineers who've had to steer on it on site selection. So what we initially did was compile a selection of these vulnerable sites or areas into a matrix and compare different attributes such as location, site vulnerability, land ownership, and most importantly, to the public footfall of the area to get that sort of shortened list where we could try and go to install that. So as a result, we now have 9 sites installed around the southwest, including our trial site at Wembury in South Devon. So we've got 2 at West Bay, 1 at Chesil, Dawlish Warren, Sidmouth, Porthmere, Perranporth, and Westward Ho. So members of the public that will be passing by these fixed point photography stations can send in their images either via email straight to us, or more popular is our website option. So other than the actual image that they submit, we also ask them to provide the dates and time that the image was taken. This is essentially important for us to understand the exact sort of tidal height that the photo was taken, along with any constraints that might come from that particular day, for example. And since the start of 2020, we've had over 3,000 images submitted across all 9 sites. Porthmeor in St Ives has by far been the most popular, with over 600 images submitted in the space of 6 months. So a really busy sort of summer period. You could also argue that it's one of the most popular beaches that we have a site installed at, but amongst many of the consideration, footfall of pedestrians walking near a site is one of the most influential to dictate the amount of submissions that we receive. So the location that you put that site is really crucial. We've noticed that the image submissions certainly trail off towards the winter months. So you tend to get less images in the more important era, but we have several what we like to call local champions who visit certain sites at least once every few days and submit an image through to us that way. So we still get a trickle of data coming through even in the winter. And overall, each site has now gained well over 100 images since they were first installed. So what can we do with these images once they've been submitted and make the best sort of use from them? And the sort of obvious case usage is to assess the impacts of high energy storm events on beach material or on asset condition. So thanks to some very dedicated community scientists, we've managed to capture before, during and after storm images at particular beaches, which allows us to give a sort of level of scalability to the impacts of some of the more high energy winter events going on around the coast. So this animation shows the difference of 3 days in late January to early February at Chesil. This was captured this year, sorry. And you can see, if you pay particular notice, that there is a sort of gain of beach material by around sort of 2 meters at the upper beach face in front of the seawall there. So, that particular storm event caused that beach material to aggregate underneath that seawall. So that's one example of how we can start to sort of justify it. You can also start to identify seasonal changes at beaches, which can be exceptionally useful as education tools. So here we have 2 images submitted from our site at Wembury, one from summer with the heavily accreted sort of beach sand, golden beach sand, and the other one from winter, where all that sediment's been stripped and likely deposited a bit further offshore. So it's really useful as an education tool for us to explain that this is a natural cause, and that sediment does come back in the summer. And it sort of depicts nicely the lower accretive energy forces of the summer and that more erosive nature of our southwest winter. So more intrinsically, the team at the University of New South Wales have constructed a procedure to extract tidally corrected shorelines from the momentary shorelines which are captured in each of the submitted images. So something which is slightly more difficult in our macrotidal regime in the southwest, but nonetheless, it allows quantification of data from images through providing an accurate representation of shoreline movement. And there's been a couple of publications on that available. More importantly for us, however, is something we're hoping to explore more over the course of the next year, is to assess asset integrity from submitted images. So many of the sites that we've chosen are situated around a particular coastal asset. So like this reinforced pebble ridge at East Beach in West Bay, it is our aim to get quantifiable data from submitted imagery to build into a traffic light warning system, essentially, for asset integrity. So using this as an example, at East Beach, we've used 2 images here. The first one submitted in January, the second in June. And you can sort of see the retreat of that pebble ridge line. And because all images have been submitted from the exact same location, we know the intrinsic properties of where that location is. We can georectify the image to provide a quantifiable number to say how far that ridgeline has retreated, for example. So a bit on the future of what the CoastSnap project is looking, well, overall, it's looking really positive. The primary aim is to maintain that social media drive. So that's the primary important role that we want to play, is to keep CoastSnap afloat and to keep people really interested in it and provide them with useful material. We also have a few collaborations sort of coming up, giving us the chance to install further sites around the southwest. The primary one being is currently Green Tea, which is a NERC-funded project, which will see the sort of installation of instruments to quantify overtopping, which occurs at Dawlish and Penzance. This is in a wider sort of bid to measure, forecast, warn of, and respond to any coastal flooding ongoing. And the PCO team will be installing 2 sites in line with the projects, which will hopefully incorporate into an augmented reality coastal walk in the near future. So a good opportunity for CoastSnap to expand. We also still have plans to install at several more sites under the current EA funding that we've been granted. So this will include Prasan, Slapton, and Bude, with I think spare to do a few more, which we'll probably revisit after those have gone in. And then, we now have over a year's worth of images submitted from some of our sites. So we have a considerable catalogue of changing beach state from which to employ through different projects of investigation. So, both through university projects, master's projects, as well as internal analytics that we'll be doing ourselves. So hopefully integrating the CoastSnap projects into the ongoing regional monitoring that we're doing here at PCO anyway. And that is all from me. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it all and learned something about it.